In summary, The Art of Indifference by author Mark Manson. The art of indifference to live a life contrary to the ordinary. The book talks about that a person does not have to be useful and be good all the time, and that the key to stronger and happier human beings lies in dealing with adversity. And we don't cover it with sugar, but rather we say it. A dose of raw, honest, refreshing truth is what is lacking today. The book deals in its chapters with how a person overcomes the obstacles of his life in a logical way, away from evasion and fear of them. Book Summary Chapter 1. Don't try. Mark Manson says our culture of getting more information focuses on what we lack, not what we have. Like that. Mainstream self-development advice is all ways of saying you're not enough, and they're all designed to make you feel bad. And to buy more things that you often do not need. A confident man does not feel the need to prove anything. The key to a good life isn't about caring more, it's about caring less. First, social media. Mark Manson says social media has accentuated a culture of not getting enough. All we see are people trying to show how great they are, how great they have a better life. They challenge each other. And when we cannot compare, we wonder what is wrong with us, making our lives less of these. Secondly, accepting the negative experience. The author suggests that the desire for a more positive experience is in itself a negative experience, and the acceptance of the negative experience is in itself a positive experience. Trying to avoid pain is to give a lot of indifference to the pain, and instead, when you are able to give the least amount of exaggeration to the pain, and your life is better. Sarita giving and least indifference. We have a limited number of exaggerations in our lives. We should not spend as much indifference as we have. This will free up our time and mental resources for the things we really care about. Fourthly, use it as a means of indifference. Indifference does not mean indifference. It is a matter of choosing what to care about and what not to care about. We cannot mind everything we go through that passes us by giving indifference to the most important thing of all. Always choose what is important and useful, so choose something meaningful. The second chapter, entitled Happiness is a Problem, says Mark Manson that happiness is not a solvable equation or something that can be worked on. He suggests instead a different question: what pain do you want in your life? Happiness takes a bit of struggle, and it requires confronting an occasional set of problems. Here's the point for everyone. If you want rewards and avoid struggle, you don't want happiness. In part, our struggles determine our successes, our problems determine our happiness, and we struggle to keep going because the joy is in the struggle itself. The third chapter talks about supernatural or special change. You are normal. There are more books that tell you that you are extraordinary and you can do everything at any time. All of this leads to an entitlement mentality. Once you accept that you are normal, then you are liberated. You will be able to enjoy everyone's boring side of life, like making friends, reading new books. Laughter, my creation is something. Chapter 4, The Value of Suffering. The question is not how to stop suffering, but about the purpose for which you suffer. Your actions must be fact-based, socially beneficial, and manageable. For example, being popular is dependent on others and therefore not a good value. Choosing and deciding on good value also allows us to do indifference about the things that matter to us, and for the sake of others. Chapter 5 is entitled You Always Choose, but we cannot always control what happens to us, but we can certainly choose what it means to us and how we respond to it. From what we have the permanent habit, the same concept found in the book The Power of Habit, Chapter 6. You're wrong about almost everything. It's easier to rely on certainty, even when things are negative. Discovery and knowledge. Some of the questions Mark Manson advises you ask are: what if I'm wrong? What? You? I mean, if I was wrong, would it be wrong for me to be wrong? Chapter 7 is titled Failure is the Way Forward. Failures come from choosing the wrong values, and life means falling and getting up again. Chapter 8 is titled The Little Significance that freedom as a concept in and of itself means nothing. The only way to achieve a sense of meaning in your life is to reject total and unlimited freedom, choosing instead to commit to something, such as what it was, or a relationship, or even believing. They use the author himself as an example. He says that focusing on writing only gave her sight a success, more than he could ever imagine. Chapter 9 is titled, Then You Die in the End. You must die. Death scares us because it is a fearful thought that we avoid thinking or talking about, sometimes even acknowledging it, even when it happens to someone close to us. Yet we find that death is the light by which the shadow of all meaning of life without death is measured. We will feel that everything is illogical, it is all random experience, and all measures and values suddenly become zero. Have you ever talked about death? Mostly? Yalla, we don't, and there are two main reasons behind the discovery that. First, the terror of death is the deep existential anxiety that underlies everything we think or do, and second, the projects of immortality. For humans, they have physical souls, but also a conceptual self that is our identity, or how we see ourselves, and just as we know that our physical destiny is death, we try to ensure that our understanding of subjectivity does not forget. This is why people try so hard to get their names on buildings and statues, and on the spines of books. The idea that people don't really live for the purposes of life but for the projects of immortality, and we live with the desire not to really die, so we don't really live. The fear of death follows the fear of life in the man who lives fully, ready to die in any time. According to Mark Twain, the only way to be comfortable with death is to understand. See yourself as greater than yourself, to choose values that extend beyond serving yourself, that are simple, immediate, and controllable, and then tolerate the chaotic world around you. This is the basic root of all people, but because we feel worthy and the center of the universe, and that we suffer more and deserve greatness more than anyone else, because we are not comfortable with death. That is why we do not live, and hate has nothing to fear. How can you apply the book? Firstly, choose the things you want to care about. Choose your passion, then focus on it more. So where do you determine what matters in your life? Really is a great way to improve your life. Secondly, use the rule at the end, gentlemen of Mach, to go as you wish. I particularly like the last chapter, as it reminds us of something very important. We are all going to die. This rule is not only sad, but tells us how things will turn out, so consider that, and then ask yourself, should you waste your time doing things you don't like or don't care about? Third, use the I only have one day rule. Mind a little bit bigger than yourself. This will also allow you not to look at a lot of things that you should not give today complete, despite what you do on a daily basis. That was the summary for today. I hope you enjoyed. Bye and new summaries.